we're going to dive into one of literature's most powerful stories about personal change, the incredible transformation of Jean Valjean from Victor Hugo's Les Misérables. I mean, how does a person just consumed by pure hatred become a symbol of hope? Let's get into it. So, this is where we start. Not with a hero, but with a man who is absolutely shattered. A complete outcast who is so full of hate that he practically expects the world to be cruel to him. This is a guy who, for all intents and purposes, seems way beyond any chance of redemption. 19 years. That's how long Jean Valjean was locked away in prison. And for what? For stealing one single loaf of bread, because his sister's child was starving. That staggering injustice, right there, becomes the foundation for his entire worldview. It convinces him that life is just a war, and he's on the losing side. So, how in the world do you get from that to a hero? Well, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the man he was. Then, the single moment that just completely upended his world. After that, we'll explore some really fascinating ideas behind that change. And finally, what his story really means for all of us today. Okay, let's dive into this first part. When we first meet Valjean, he's basically built a wall around himself. He's been so beaten down by cruelty and rejection that he almost goes looking for it. Even when someone shows him kindness, he just meets it with this snarl of scorn and hate. Yeah, his whole identity was forged in the fire of his own suffering. In his head, the world is an enemy, and his only job is to be its victim. He is pretty much a living, breathing example of society's absolute failure. But then, everything changes. He stumbles, exhausted and angry, into the home of a kind bishop, a man named Myriel. And this one encounter, you guys, it becomes the spark that ignites one of the most incredible transformations in all of literature. Okay, just look at how this plays out. First, the bishop shows him trust. Valjean's response? Betrayal. He steals from the one man who helped him. The law, of course, responds with punishment. He's caught. But then, the bishop steps in and does something completely unbelievable. He lies to the police, saving Valjean with this radical act of compassion. And he doesn't just stop there. He gives him the silver candlesticks, too. So, how do we even begin to make sense of a change that's so deep and so sudden? This moment is so powerful, we can actually look at it through two very different lenses to try and understand what is really going on here. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got this theological view. The literary scholar Janice Barnett calls it a mysterious and terrible blow of grace, almost like a divine intervention. But on the other hand, you've got this huge philosophical problem that really makes you question free will. I mean, how can a person make a choice that goes against everything they are? The philosopher Christopher Franklin really sharpens this point. Based on everything we know about Valjean's character, bitter, cynical, full of hate, the thing that would have made the most sense was for him to laugh at the bishop's naivete, celebrate his score, and get out of town. That would have been perfectly in character for him. And that's the heart of it, right? Was Valjean's decision to change his life an expression of who he secretly was, deep down all along? Or was it an act that actually created a brand new person? This quote just nails it. Hugo doesn't describe this as some gentle awakening, he calls it an assault. That mercy from the bishop didn't comfort Valjean. It completely shattered the foundations of the identity he had spent decades building on injustice and hatred. So what happens next? Valjean doesn't fight this assault. He gives into it. And in that moment of surrender, an entirely new life begins. And the results are, well, they're just staggering. He doesn't just become a good person, he becomes a force for good in the world. He takes a new name, becomes a mayor, turns a dying town into a booming center of industry. But, and this is the most important part, he learns how to love by raising the orphan Cassette as his own daughter. So here's the crucial point right here. Valjean's choice was this profound act of self-transformation. He deliberately chose to act out of character so that he could become the man he wanted to be. So why does this story, written back in the 19th century, still resonate so deeply with us? Well, it's because it speaks to this timeless, universal question we all ask ourselves. Can people really fundamentally change? And this is the ultimate takeaway. Valjean's journey from a heart of stone to a life of incredible love isn't just a great story. It's this powerful symbol of the human capacity for change. It tells us that our pasts, our pain, our mistakes, they don't have to be the final word on who we are. So,
we'll leave you with this final thought. Valjean's story challenges us to think about a pretty radical idea, that our character isn't something we just find, but something we actively build, one choice at a time. And if that's true, then who will you choose to become?